In my life, my family and I had numerous paranormal incidents. There were always heavy footsteps, sounding like a person in boots upstairs in the attic. Sometimes I heard them coming down the stairs or on the front porch at night, but oftentimes I had trouble keeping them. They said the TV kept going off and on. One said she saw a man in the attic through the window. My boys were afraid to sleep in their room alone sometimes because they saw people in the backyard. There were two very strange occurrences that happened in the winter of 1991. I was married at the time to a man who was abusive to my children and myself when he drank. One night, I smelled something burning in the bedroom, and the bed was smoldering. I woke up my husband, and he pulled the mattress off the bed. There was a burning area right in the bottom of the top mattress. He had not been smoking in bed, and wouldn't have been there anyway. Another night, I took the kids to get ice cream. When I got back, the doors were all dead-bolted and windows locked to where I couldn't get in. I looked through a crack in a curtain and saw my husband lying unconscious on the floor, and the heavy dining room table was turned over. The phone was dangling from the wall. I pried open a window and climbed in. I called for an ambulance and called the police. My husband was taken to the hospital, and the police detective was totally baffled. Later, my husband said that he was talking on the phone to his mother when he was hit hard from behind and knocked out. His mother called to check in on what had happened, saying they had been talking, she heard noises, and he was no longer there. I felt like maybe we had a ghost that was protective towards us, but angry with my husband for his actions. I usually felt safe in the house, but on occasions, I was very frightened. After my husband and I divorced, I felt the need to move. While checking out the history of the house later, I found that it was originally owned by a doctor who kept his ill patients in his home with him. This was in the early 1900s, around 1907. After he left, there was a terrible train wreck just outside of town where some Mexican immigrants and a couple of local workers were killed in a train collision. Their bodies were badly burned and thrown into a massive grave, which turned out to be in the back acre of our yard. I feel certain that we had multiple spirits, though before this time, I never believed in ghosts. I was visiting California on a school trip. My friends and I were hanging out in the hotel's hot tub. We were playing Truth or Dare. I was dared to leave the hot tub and dive into the cold pool, then run back to the hot tub. I got out and went to the edge of the pool. Looking at the clear water, I dove in. Next thing I knew, I was face to face with a dead body. He was face down at the bottom of the pool. It was like it was slow motion. He turned to me with his eyes closed. He slowly opened his eyes and stared into my eyes. He was missing his left eye. I was scared. I breathed in to scream and breathed in water. I pushed through the dead man on accident, and in my struggle to get to the top, I was thrashing around quite a bit. A friend came and helped me out. Panting, I said I didn't feel like playing anymore. Me and my two friends went back to our hotel room. One friend was taking a shower, and my other friend was watching TV. We noticed our phone blinking. We checked the messages. We had 362 messages. We were only out for an hour. We had no way to trace the calls. No one even knew our hotel phone number. We listened to the first few messages. They seemed like they were all blank. Finally, we heard something. One word, hell. This freaked me out. I haven't told about the man at the bottom of the pool. I tried to downplay the message. Later that night, we went to sleep. I don't recall any of this next part, but my friend said that at 3 a.m. I got up, turned on the curling iron, and turned on the faucet. I then hit my head really hard on the headboard of the bed and went back to sleep. I woke up that morning with nothing but an eerie feeling, which was soon forgotten since the next day we went to Disneyland. A week later, we drove home. The thought of this man still terrified me. I just pushed it to the back of my mind and continued on. I did not believe he wanted to harm or scare me, though. Weeks went by. I remember doing chores around the house. I was putting laundry away in my mother's room. Her dresser has a huge mirror. After placing the clothes in the drawer, I looked up into the mirror. Standing behind me in the back of the room was this man. I could see him very clearly. He was young, long blondish hair, His skin was grayed and almost green, waterlogged, and a little wet looking. His good eye was brown, and where his other eye should have been was just a hole. It seemed to go on forever. It was almost hypnotizing. I noticed this all in an instant, because when I turned around, this young man turned and walked away. I sensed that his name was William. I didn't see William for a very long time, although I felt him following me. Our house began to change. Radios would turn on when they weren't even plugged in. A music box would start to play randomly. Shelves would fall off the wall. Everyone noticed it. Everyone was afraid. I wasn't. Years went by. I started to feel a difference over me. At night, I would wake up to voices in my room, like a crowded room where you could hear only a few words that made sense. I tried to ignore the voices. Sometimes, I would wake up with a single voice in my ear talking to me. They seemed to never make sense. It was like the end of a sentence or the beginning. I remember waking up one night. I felt scared for the rest of the time. It was very late at night. I knew no one was awake. A blue light was outside my closed door. My door began to shake very violently, but the beads on my door didn't even sway. I kept all of this to myself. Who wanted to tell their friends and family they heard voices in their head and see people in swimming pools? I don't think so. Later that year, I moved out and started going to college. My family said that since I left, the strange happenings seemed to have moved out when I did. Strangely, my roommate said that since I moved in, strange things started happening. Pictures falling off the walls, TVs turning on, shadows, and the feeling of being watched. I still heard voices at night, but never anything scary. I learned to live with it all. Now, in 2009, I'm married. I still hear voices at night, but they're making more sense now. Sometimes the voices say things to me like, "Get out, I'm not kidding, get out," and laughing followed. Evil laughing. I tried to go back to sleep. One night, a few weeks ago, I woke up feeling like someone was in the room with me, a different energy than my husband's. I looked up and saw a dark figure standing over me. My dog started barking and growling like crazy. The dark figure turned his head and walked out the closed door. I went back to sleep and woke up to a voice telling me, "Your destiny will be at the Valley of Thunder, then all the voices shall be heard." I haven't ignored that one. Sometimes, I will go to Yosemite National Park, Valley of Thunder, and see what my destiny is. It just doesn't seem right yet. 2 nights ago, I had a dream. William came to me. He didn't say anything, but I sensed he was telling me it was okay, not to be afraid of him. I feel as if since I've met William, I've become sensitive to spirits and energies. I've met other spirits beside William. I feel as if now I have the ability to read energies and sense thoughts. I almost regard William as a friend. As an avid EVP researcher and long-haul truck driver, I've had many opportunities to get EVP recordings from all over the country. My research has revealed some startling results lately. On the 20th of January this year, an EVP has attached itself to me somehow. Now, no matter where I am or where I go, this EVP named Desmond Heathers is in every recording I make on my Olympus digital voice recorder. Even when I'm traveling down the road at 65 miles per hour, Desmond is there ready to talk when I turn on my recorder. I know a lot about them and where he is now. One startling development occurred when I asked Desmond if he knew anyone that I knew. He said, "Yes, Joe." I said, "Joe, my brother?" He said, "No, Joe who is with me." I asked him if Joe was with us now, and he said, "He is in you now." So I asked, "Joe, are you there?" And I got this voice in the recording that was very deep and gruff sounding. I can only say it sounded like Mr. T from the TV show The A-Team. Joe said, "Go away, leave me alone." Well, I don't communicate with those who don't want to, so I just do what I always do with the ones I get who I don't think deserve my attention. I just ignore them. Here's where the story takes a strange turn. The week after that, I was talking to my doctor about a fatigue problem I've been having lately. Nothing serious, just tired during the times of the day I don't think I should be. He asked if I was sleeping okay, and I said I tend to wake up several times during the night. He recommended I get a sleep study done. After finding the only sleep research center within 100 miles of where I live, I was told the study would cost in excess of $1,600 for one night. Well, I thought this was ridiculous, so I figured I would do it myself. I was on the road the night I decided to do my sleep study, and set up my digital voice recorder and DV camera on the sleeper of my big rig. I fell asleep within 15 minutes. When I reviewed the recordings the next morning, I was so startled at what I had recorded, I could hardly listen to it. The recording revealed that I snore rather loudly. What was startling, though, was that EVP Joe was using my snoring sound to speak to me in my sleep. With every rattling snore, he formed words. He said things like, "Don't you know you love me? Don't leave me. Don't wake up. I'm not done yet. Don't you remember me from the Navy? You know you're listening to me. You know you love me. How did I get in here? What happened to me? I need you. I'm just jealous of you, Tony. Tony, please, help me." Not just that night either. Every night I've recorded, he's talking to me in my sleep. It concerns me because I don't know if there may be some subliminal influence with him talking in my sleep like that every night. I think I know him. I vaguely recall a friend I had in the Navy named Joe back in 1980. I remember feeling sorry for the guy because of his drinking problem and was always trying to help him when he got in trouble. I used to buy him gifts for his birthday and Christmas because his family wanted nothing to do with him. Other than that, I can't recall very much about him. When I asked him how long he has known Desmond, he said about 5 years. That's how long Desmond told me he's been dead. Actually, Desmond didn't even know he was dead until I convinced him he was. He kept trying to tell me he was alive. So I asked what it looked like where he was, and what did he see around him. He said nothing but a faint amber and turquoise colored light that was all around him. He desperately wants out of there. He says he can see me sometimes. One day, when I was sitting at my office desk at home, I asked him if he could see me, and he said he could. So I reached in my pocket and pulled out a $20 bill and asked if he could see what I had in my hand. He said $1. Thinking it was just a lucky guess on his part, I dropped the bill and picked up a Bic lighter. I then asked again, "What am I holding in my hand right now?" And he said, "A light." I reached in my desk for it and had my hand closed around it so I couldn't even see it. How did he know? Many times Desmond will ask if I can see him. I've never been able to do so, so I got out my digital camera and asked if he would let me take pictures of him. He said, "I will try." I told him where to be in my living room at home while I snapped a few dozen pictures. Nothing showed up on review, so I asked if he would mind trying something else. I explained what white noise was to him, and he was already familiar with it. He helped me to adjust the levels and spectrums of white noise to be able to hear him better. I explained that I could generate a different type of noise that is not audible, but that I might be able to see him with. So I set up my DV camera to form a video feedback loop with my Sony Trenton 32-inch TV, manually adjusting the focus in such a way that the feedback picture was focused on the pixels on the screen, as it oscillated slightly due to some technical reason I can't explain now. After talking with Desmond during the setup and adjustment period, I told him where I thought he could best try to show himself. Desmond appeared to me only once for about 2 seconds in the video. He had very plain symmetrical features and was shown from the waist up. He seemed to be in his mid-30s with dark sunken eyes. He was wearing a bowler hat and a 1940s type jacket with wide rounded lapels with an open shirt that had no collar. Further research with Desmond shows he can see me and some things around me when his energy level is high. For example, I can give him instructions on how to travel somewhere. One time I showed him a map on my Microsoft Streets and Tips and showed him the same roads and satellite photos taken from Google Earth. With this information, I am able to ask him to get a specific place and get information I desire. One time I sent him to the Powerball lottery drawing headquarters located at Urbandale Drive in Urbandale, Iowa, to see if he could see the Powerball numbers being drawn 6 hours before the draw. I have reason to believe he is not bound by time as we know it, and thought he could travel through different threads of time and different timelines. Well, I asked him to go and do this one for me, after about an hour of instruction on what to look for and how to get there. Then, when I asked if he was ready, he said, "I'll try. Then, I'll be right back." He returned in approximately 30 minutes and gave me some numbers. I was all excited and purchased our ticket. Later the next day, I went to check the ticket and realized I had sent him on the wrong day. I explained to Desmond how sorry I was for the mistake and how much time and energy we wasted. I asked him what the numbers were he gave me because he was there 24 hours too early to see the actual drawing and realized he must have witnessed one of the practice draws they do to check out the machines. Lately, I've been having some other problems. I injured my back seriously at work and have not had the desire to record anymore due to my pain and medication. I've been recovering well and expect my research to continue. My new job doesn't offer me as much travel and time to do the things I'd like. I just hope when I start recording again, Desmond and Joe will let some other people talk to me. I wanted to share my experience with you guys. I'm not sure what it means or anything, but if you do make it to the end of the story, you can decide for yourself and let me know what you think. One night when I was 13, I couldn't sleep, so I tried to turn the other way, on my side, to try to get myself comfy. As I turned around, I saw a figure of a woman against the wall in front of me. She was kind of a black figure, and she seemed to have a hunchback and a hump on her back from the way she was standing. This, of course, freaked me out, especially since I was only 13 at the time. I lay in shock and not knowing what to do, and after like 2 seconds, I put my head under the covers and called for my mom. She came in, and I was really afraid to tell her in case she thought I was crazy, so I just told her that I had a really bad dream. I was definitely not asleep. I couldn't sleep for a few nights as it freaked me out so much. This kind of went away after a few weeks, and I was gradually able to sleep again. However, a few weeks after this had happened, I was getting pains in my back and I went to the doctors to get scans and things. I then found out I had sclerosis, curvature of the spine. I eventually started getting a slight hump in my back because of this. It has been 10 years since I saw this woman, but I can never get it out of my mind. I've since told my mom about this and she seemed freaked out about it as well. I'm not sure what this means, or if it was a ghost or spirit trying to tell me something. I have no idea, but it really did freak me out. This is just a short experience I had at about 17. A group of 4 friends and I were sitting at my house, bored out of our minds. My buddy Joey, not his real name, was literally banging his head against the wall out of boredom. Tommy, also not his real name, was reading a book he brought. His sister Alexis, of course not her real name either, was teasing my dog with a flashlight. Henry had his earbuds blaring. Finally, my friend Annie was on my laptop looking for something that might be fun. Annie came across a story a few guys had posted on a ghost website about an abandoned local farm. They posted how they went exploring the farm and got the hell scared out of them by a black figure. Annie is into the paranormal and asked if we wanted to investigate it. I said sure, better than sitting around waiting for my dog to bite Alexis for teasing him. The others agreed, so we hopped into my truck. It's a single cab with 3 seats. The girls rode in the cab with me, while Henry, Joey, and Tommy rode in the truck bed. I didn't believe in ghosts. If someone told me they saw a ghost, I would have to say stop watching Scooby-Doo and return to reality. Annie told me how to get there with the directions the guys posted on the ghost site. When we arrived, we all hopped out and walked up to the gate. We hopped the gate and started talking about where to go. We agreed to split up. Tommy and Joey were with Alexis. They went to the old barn, while Annie was with Henry and I. We went into the 2-story farmhouse. I looked in the upstairs window. All the glass looked like it had been smashed out of the windows. The house looked wrecked. It looked like whoever lived there had been a hoarder. While Henry and I were exploring, we heard what sounded like footsteps upstairs. We were intrigued, so we took off upstairs. When we got to the 2nd floor, it was empty. While walking down the stairs, I felt like someone had been pushing me. I was mad. My right shoulder was cut thanks to the old wooden steps I had twisted my ankle on. I asked Annie and Henry, "What the hell are you guys trying to do? Are you trying to kill me?" Annie said she and Henry were in the bedroom to the right, looking through some of the old junk when they heard me scream and they came running. Henry held me up and we were about to leave when we heard something slam hard in the kitchen. We went in and saw a toolbox we had seen on the table on the floor with various tools around it. Henry said no way in hell that toolbox had a damn padlock on it. We all looked around the lock. It was on the table now, besides where the toolbox used to be. Henry tried to get in the toolbox earlier, but the lock prevented him. We heard footsteps upstairs again. Annie said screw this and ran outside along Henry while I hobbled out. The jerks left me behind. When we were out of the house, we saw Alexis, Tommy, and Joey. They were panting out of breath and looked terrified. We asked what happened. Alexis said that they saw a black figure with red eyes and it charged at them. We all heard a loud snarl like a big dog, and we took off towards my truck on the way there and said, look. In one of the upstairs windows, we saw two glowing eyes go from the middle of the window to the top. Then they separated. One went left and one went right. We all hopped the fence and peeled out of there as fast as everyone could. Hey guys, Phantom Rex here, and I just wanted to say, since I'm living in prehistoric times, this is the end. The video has concluded, and I just wanted to say, from the bottom of my heart, you guys are roarsome. Ha, get it? Because I'm prehistoric, Phantom Rex. Ha, get it? I would love if you guys gave this a big dino thumbs up and liked this video and shared it to all the little prehistoric creatures in this land of Earth. Because, you know what? I'm obsessed with dinosaurs at the moment. What can I say? Actually, I have no idea why I'm bringing up dinosaurs in the first place, to be honest with you guys. But, you know, if it's funny, it'll work out. And I don't think I'm funny at all. I'm actually not that funny. You know, if anybody has an encounter of a ghost dinosaur, just know that's bullshit, because we still don't know if dinosaurs and people existed at the same time. There's no proof of this. I'm just kidding, there is proof. In fact, dinosaurs and people have not existed at the same time. I thought that for so long, but now I'm not ignorant anymore. I'm just slightly ignorant. No, but seriously guys, I really hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know, as always, in the comments below how you feel about this video, because comments like yours really make my day, night, and whenever I'm looking at my comments. You know, it's a great day when you can be a dino ghost and you can do whatever you want and just hop up on the computer and read comments. Anyway guys, I'm outie like an outie belly button. I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Sayonara.